Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center, PJTC for short. We're glad to have you in the room. We're glad to have you on the Zoom. However you are here, we are most grateful that you are joining us and you're in the right place, because tonight here we are going to celebrate Shabbat, and we're also very grateful to this beautiful family for sharing the simcha of celebrating. We're going to start the wave in the back. Excellent. Celebrating our good friend Olivia becoming bat mitzvah. So, I said our good friend Olivia becoming bat mitzvah.
Woo! Mazel tov.
Excellent. So I'm going to get yucca after that. So anyway, there's a couple things you should know before we get started. This is just a couple of PSAs, a couple of public synagogue announcements, and that is that this is a safe place, and it is also a musical place. By safe place, I mean that for, let's say, well over a year now, we've had this wonderful safety and security task force that's been advising. We've got doctors and members of this community advising us on how to gather the most safely together. And right now, their advice is when we gather for things like this, we should have a mask over our nose and mouth through the duration of your time that you're in this space. And so we'd be much obliged if you'd help us out with that. You'll see that sometimes the cantor's not wearing a mask. Sometimes I'm not wearing a mask. People who are coming up with honors and readings can take their masks off with their microphone because we're all spread out like this. But while you're in the kahal, while you're in the pews, please keep your mask over your nose and mouth. If you need a break, and Lord knows we all do. That's why we have Shabbat. If you need a break from your mask, you need to go outside and get some fresh air. You may leave the service and come back in at any time you want. We will not get offended. So please do what you need to do. If you go outside, say hi to the peacocks for me. They own the place. We just work here. And that's so that we can continue to gather safely as possible, and we'll keep wearing these things for as long as we have to and not a second longer. I also said that this is a musical community. Throughout the evening and throughout the weekend, throughout Shabbat, we are going to be making music up here, and we want to make music with you, not instead of you. So we highly encourage you to take part in whatever way you feel comfortable, and maybe even push your comfort zone a little bit. If you don't know the words but you catch the tune, hum along. Some of these things have no words, which means everybody knows the words. If you feel a little percussive, we've got these wonderful wooden pews in front of you. You can tap on like that. The prayer books work nicely too. If you have an accordion at home, you do you. And I promise you, if you take part in whatever way you're able in the music that we make together, you will have the best experience of this service. One more thing before we get started, and that is through this miracle of multi-access gathering and the live streaming that we do, that just so happens to mean that every part of what happens up here is captured. And because that's captured, you are not. You are liberated from needing to use your electronic devices to snap pictures or record anything during the service. We've got you covered. So please feel free to put those things away and silence anything that's not medically necessary, and be fully present. Be here now and enjoy this wonderful moment that we're going to share. So speaking of sharing wonderful moments, I think we're going to start celebrating Shabbat with this tradition of singing in these angels who we feel accompany us throughout this holy time. And when these angels come in and bless us and escort us through Shabbat and then go on their way, we say hello. We say peace be upon you. We say shalom aleichem. And shalom aleichem, you can follow along on page 13. Page 13.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Yasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh, Baruch Hu. Moachem L'Shalom, Malachei Yashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Amlachim הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. יאירה לה 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 יאירה לה 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 יאירה לה שלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון ממלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
And even as we grow the song in our hearts, we increase the light in our spaces, in our homes, and in our holy places. And right now we have 2 Shabbat candles over there that haven't been lit or had the blessings said near them. So this time I'd like to call up Vanessa and Teresa and Jennifer and Stephanie Silberman, Sophie Bowers and Olivia and Nancy Widman to gather over here in this area. To share the blessing of the Shabbat candles with us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshenu b'mitzvotav v'tzivonu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And Shabbat Shalom. Beautifully done. Part of the, I was going to say work, part of the goal of what we're doing right now, Kabbalat Shabbat, is ascent. It's climbing up out of, so I sometimes say, the schmutz of the work week, the mundane world, into the holy heights of Shabbat. And one of the ways that we ascend at this time is through song, is through some beautiful psalms and poems shared with us by our tradition. And we're going to start on page 15 with L'chuna Ranana, page 15.
L'chuna Ranana l'Adonai Nari קדמה פניו בתודה בזמירות נריע לו כי אל גדול אדוני מלך גדול אל כל אלוהים. ארבעים שנה אקודרדור ואומר אמתואי לבבם והם לא ידעו אשר נשבעתי ואפי אם יבואון אל מנוחתי. היי עלי רי עלי עלי רי היי עלי רי עלי 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 היי עלי רי עלי 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 היי עלי רי עלי עלי אוי עלי שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שבו, מסרו מיום ליום, ישועתו ספרו לגויים כבודו וכל העמים נפלאותיו כי גדול אדוני אולי מאוד נורא הוא על כל אלוהי יאי רלי 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 רלי
And speaking of new songs, we turn to page 22. We're moving from the Psalms, which were given to us by our poet King David, into a new song, a fairly fresh melody in the Jewish world. It was only written 500 years ago. And this is something that the Kabbalists of Sfat put together, recognizing that the moment of receiving Shabbat was kind of like being at a wedding as the beloved couple walks down the aisle. The moment of receiving Shabbat is like having a visit from the queen of the realm. And so they would look upon this visitation with both great honor and great intimacy, and would say to Shabbat, "Come, my beloved, lacha dodi." And we're going to sing together on page 22.
Let's try this again. This is a fairly new melody for some of you. So let's join together in the chorus, Lecha Dodi. This is how it will sound. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela try that one more time. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. לא תבושי ולא תקרבי, מה תשתוכחי ומה תהמי. בך יחסו עניי עמי ונבנתה עיר על תהילה. Together. לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. אוי לך דודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה. והיו לי בשיסה שוסייך ורחקו כל מבלייך. יסיס עלייך אלוהייך כמסוס חתן על כלה הוא לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה. אוי לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי את אדוני תריצי. על יד איש בן פרצי ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצולה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. אוי לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. אוי לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת
You may be seated. We're going to continue with a psalm for Shabbat. I'd like to call up Nancy and Doug Widman, who are going to lead us in a psalm for Shabbat up here. We're on page 23, page 23.
should be over here. Okay. A song for Shabbat.
It is good to acclaim Adonai, to sing your praise, exalted Lord God,
To affirm your love each morning and your faithfulness each night, to the music of the lute and the melody of the harp.
Your works, Adonai, make me glad. I sing with joy of your creation.
How vast your works, Adonai! Your designs are beyond our grasp.
The thoughtlessness cannot comprehend, the foolish cannot fathom this.
The wicked may flourish, springing up like grass, but their doom is sealed, for you are supreme forever.
Your enemies, Adonai, your enemies shall perish, and all the wicked shall crumble.
But me you have greatly exalted. I am anointed with fragrant oil. I have seen the downfall of my foes. I have heard the despair of my attackers.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. They shall grow tall like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they shall, you go baby, no? They shall.
Okay. They shall bear fruit even in old age. They shall be ever fresh and fragrant, to proclaim Adonai is just, my rock, in whom there is no flaw.
Eshkah, well done. Now, if you'll stay on page 23 on the facing page, we've got a song about that.
מזמושי ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמושי ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי הצאן ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון וכינון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך, במעשה ידיך ארנן. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מעולם קומה מחשבותיך. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מעולם קומה מחשבותיך. יא אלי 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 יא אלי יא אלי יא מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Once again, if you joined us late, you are at PJTC. We're glad to have you here with us in this time of celebration, and I hope you will take the opportunity to be here now. I know that's a phrase that is used a lot as we become ever more understanding of the importance of mindfulness and also the rare gift of taking a break from dwelling on the past or future tripping, as they used to say, and just be present for the holiness of this moment, for the peacefulness of this moment, for the joy of this moment. Speaking of joy, one of the things that brings me most joy in the various, let's say, assignments in my bailiwick, that's, I don't know, do you have a bailiwick? Maybe it's just me. One of the things that I get to do is learn Torah with our youngest Jewish adults in this congregation. And a singular moment that I cherish is when I'm studying Torah with one of our folks preparing to celebrate their age of mitzvah, and they figure out what they're going to talk about this weekend. Right? Not just because that's kind of a lot of pressure, but figuring it out shows me that they found something in the Torah that they're interested in. If I spent the rest of my life helping 12-year-olds find something in the Torah that they're interested in, mission accomplished. And somehow, I've been lucky. It happens every time, and this Shabbat is no exception. That is a huge moment for me. The close second, I'll say, is when they pick the thing that they want to talk about, and it's not what I want to talk about. All right, because sometimes I'm really excited about something in the Torah, and they pick the same thing, and I'm like, well, maybe you should say this, maybe you should. And I have to hold myself back because I want them to teach their Torah. But I lucked out because Olivia has something amazing to share with you tomorrow. But it's not the Birkat Kohanim. It's not what's called sort of the priestly blessing or the threefold blessing. One of the greatest hits of the Torah, really. It's in Sefer Bamidbar, the book of Numbers, here in Nassau, the second reading. And if you're not familiar, I don't want to spoil it for you because we're going to say it a couple of times tomorrow. One, in the Torah reading, and also near the latter part of the service where Olivia's hardest work is done and we welcome up her parents and the families embrace and we share this threefold blessing. So again, not going to spoil it for you, but the English of it goes a little something like this. May God bless you and protect you. May God's face illuminate your path and give you grace. May God smile upon everything you do and teach you wholeness and peace. And because it's from the Torah, that's not just ours. I've heard all sorts of traditions carry the same blessing in their liturgy. And it's one of the oldest blessings that we have. I mean, it's in the Torah, and we use it all the time. Right? Not only was this something that the priests blessed the entire people with, but even to this day, families often bless their kids with this blessing every single Friday night. Can you imagine this one thing that there was just like one guy's job a few thousand years ago to say a blessing over thousands of people is now something that our families can share in their own household. And even if they're not in their house, maybe they're traveling, right? Anywhere you go, you can do this. And we shared all these happy occasions, like brises and weddings, no pressure, and bat mitzvahs. And I'm really glad I get to talk about it because I need it. And if you'll permit me for just a few moments, I'm going to talk about something tonight that is kind of hard. And it has to do with a crisis in mental health, not just at the world at large, but even as people are experiencing it in this very community. And it's hamor, it is serious in a time of simcha. But I hope that the faith that the threefold blessing gives me might help you if you need it too. But first, for just a moment, I want to talk about space robots. You didn't think I was going to say space robots, did you? Okay. So, one of my favorite TV shows came back on in a new season recently, and it's about space and spaceships and laser beams, and it's got aliens and it's got robots, and I was really excited to see it again because it had this cliffhanger ending in the last season. Ask me later if you're interested. And in the last season, so the crew of the spaceship has a robot on it, and this robot is kind of like their Spock. Right, he's ultimately rational, doesn't feel emotion, finds human behavior and feelings terribly interesting. But in the last season, he had this malfunction that set this chain of events that caused a great big conflagration, and thousands of people lost their lives. And he wound up fixing the situation and saving the day. But everybody else on the ship had lost someone to this occurrence, and the sight of him in their workplace hurt them, because when they saw him, they thought of this horrible thing that had happened, and this robot was not equipped to process their grief, their anger toward him. But logically, he deduced that the ship would run much more efficiently without him. He thought he was getting in the way. And so he did what was the only logical thing for him in his perception to do, and he deactivated himself. And some people said, you know what, he had it coming. And some people said, I was so mad at him, but I can't deal with the fact that he's gone. And because it's a TV show, and things often work out great on those, they were able to restore this robot. And then at the end of the episode, they were kind of recapping the experience, saying, please, I need to know you're not going to try something like that again. Why did you do it? And the robot said, well, I took the data that was available to me, and I made the most logical decision. And the ship's doctor, who also happens to be a psychiatrist, said to the robot, didn't you think about how people might feel in the future had this happened? And the robot said very logically, well, the data about the future wasn't available at the time. And the doctor says, I've talked to a lot of people who consider doing what you've done. And in almost every case, they don't see the difference between the present and the future. They can't imagine a future that is better than the pain that they are experiencing in that moment. And the coincidence is that I saw this episode of this TV show at a time where in the last week, I think over the course of 5 days, I spoke to 5 different people just in this community whose lives were touched by suicide, whether because they were considering it or because they were worried about family or friends who they thought were at risk, or because they were mourning for someone. And I talked to a therapist that I know and said, this is something that's happening in my community. 5 people in 5 days. And I wish she'd said something besides, well, that tracks. because, John, it is everywhere right now. We say on Shabbat, be here now. But for so many people, here is a hard place, and now is a hard time to be a human being. The good news for me is that by the time I was doing my rabbinical training and the pastoral counseling teaching that comes with that, I had really good mentors who are leaders in the Jewish community today, and they had recently led the charge to completely refigure how Jewish tradition and Jewish communities cope with suicide. Part of the stress of being someone who survives someone who doesn't is being worried that the community won't support you. Because for so long in Jewish communities, this was considered such a shanda, such a shame, such a selfish act by a person that we don't want to encourage. So to stamp it down, traditional communities would try to sweep it under the rug. Funeral rites would be different. Shiva would be non-existent, and we don't talk about that. And one of my rabbis, Rabbi Ed Feinstein, says, no, we know so much more now, and thank God. Suicide is not a decision that somebody makes. It is a terminal outcome of an illness. And so he said to his people then, and I'm saying to you now, if you wouldn't judge a person for dying of cancer, you cannot judge a person or their family when they die of depression. And the message has to be, we are here for you. We show up for those who mourn. We show up for those who are ashamed to talk about how they're feeling lest they be judged. And I thank God for this good news. The bad news is that there's no pastoral class, and I took as many as I could, that prepares you for that first phone call. Actually, I got mine through a Facebook chat one night when I was about to go to bed. Hey, Rabbi, I don't think I want to live anymore. And I had not had a single class that prepared me to answer that chat. And so I winged it. I did what I thought was the best thing to do at the time. And I said, tell me about what you're feeling. I'm here to listen. And when he was done telling me, I said, all right, that's pretty terrible. I want you to make me a deal. You go to bed right now, and I want you to call me tomorrow, and we can talk more about this. Because if you can give me 24 hours, you might experience a better future. The whole Birkat Kohanim is written in the future tense. To recognize that not everybody lives a life of constant blessing, but there's so many blessings that are possible. If you can give me one more day, God might bless you. If you can give me one more day, God might protect you. God might smile upon you. God might give you peace. Because where there is life, there is hope. And we have this blessing so that we can remind our children every single week. We can remind every family that just had a baby, and that is some hard times, let me tell you. Those sleepless nights. every couple embarking on this unknown adventure of marriage, every teenager entering some of the toughest years. Let us sing this blessing. Let us remind everyone, if you can give us one more day, God can bless you. God can protect you. God can illuminate your path and give you peace. And hey, if that doesn't work out, let's talk about it tomorrow and plan for the day after that. So let me conclude just by saying, if you know someone, or if you are someone who thinks I'm full of it, that tomorrow cannot beat today, please reach out. If you can reach out to us, reach out to us. If you can reach out to hotlines that are available, reach out to somebody. If you are mourning someone who has succumbed to this illness, please take this simcha, this glorious evening, as a reminder of how sweet life can be. Sometimes you just need to give it one more day. Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for being a part of the PJTC community. We're going to continue on page 28 with our call to blessing, the Baruch Hu. Olivia will lead us, and we are on page 28. Page 28, please rise.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach.
Adonai Barak Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch
Umevin laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila. Adonai Tsevaot Shemo, El Hai v'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai, Baruch Ata Adonai,
Baruch Shemo.
Hama'arim Aravim.
Amen. You may be seated. We continue on page 29. We bless God for the abundance of light, and now we bless God for the constancy of God's love. Ahavat Olam, page 29.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת אותנו לימדת על כן אדוני אלוהינו ושוכנו ובקומנו לשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה נהגה יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל אוהב עמו ישראל
Amen. We go to Olivia, who's going to lead us in the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך היה שמות נשמות.
You can continue in the middle of page 30 at your own pace. We'll get back together in just a moment. We join together on the top of page 31. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor daber el bnei Yisrael ve'amarta alehem v'asu lehem tzitzit al kanfei bigdeihem ledorotam v'natnu al tzitzit hakanaf patil techelet v'haya lechem letzitzit uritem oto uzchartem et kol mitzvot Adonai v'asitem otam ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריכם למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני
אדוני אלוהיכם
אדוני אלוהיכם אמן. We're on the top of page 32, page 32. We bless God for light and for the constancy of God's love. On page 32, we bless God for God's nature as a redeemer, hearing us and answering when we call.
Mi chamocha in the middle of the page. מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף אלה מלכותך משה ומרים וכולם זה לי ענו ואמרו זה לי ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאה לו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה, אדוני, גל ישראל.
Amen. We continue with Hashkivenu on page 33. I'd like to call up Vanessa Silverman to lead us in Hashkivenu, page 33.
Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace and awaken us again, our sovereign to life. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us, our gracious and merciful ruler. Guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praised are you, Adonai, who spreads the shelter of peace over us, over all his people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Amen.
Amen. Kol hakavod, well done. And now if you'll look on the facing page, on page 33, if you want to join in with us on Hashkivenu.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ושמור צאצאנו אוהבינו לחיים ולשלום ואתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שמלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. שלום 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 שלום. ברוך אתה אדוני
Baruch Shemo.
הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ואל כל עמו ישראל ואל כל יושבי תבל ועל
Amen. We continue on page 34, page 34.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותה ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת
לדורותם ברית עולם.
כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית
עולם.
וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. יתגדל ויתקדש שם רבה, ועלמד יברח חירותה וימליך מלכותה, וחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב ויברוך.
אמן.
יש מרבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ויברוך.
Amen. We rise, and on page 35b, we have the Amidah for Shabbat evening. This is a private or personal Amidah that you say at your own pace, whether you use the words of the page, words of the tradition on the page, or your own words. That is perfectly appropriate. We'll take some time for our personal prayers, and we'll all get back together in just a little while.
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי וגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי וגואלי אמן. עושה שלום שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל אמן אמן. עושה שלום שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. ועל כל יושבי תבל
We conclude the Amidah with the Kaddish Shalem on page 48. Page 48.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמר רבה
Amen.
בעלמא דיבר אחריותו וימליך מלכותו וחי יכונו ומכונו וחי לכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו
Amen.
יהי שמר רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתגדל שמי לקודשה
Brihu.
לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירם בעלמא וימרו
Amen.
תתקבל צלותון ואותון לכל ישראל קודם אבוהון דמשמיא וימרו
Amen.
יהי שלום הרע משמיא וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו
Amen.
עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל וימרו
Amen. In a moment, we are going to begin to end the service with Aleinu on page 51. But first, I have to call up Coralie Widman, who is going to be opening the ark for Aleinu. And I'll ask everyone else to please rise and join us on page 51. Go ahead. Oh, you got it. Good job.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת כגמולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא
שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר
שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר עצומו שיקר בשמיים. על כן נקבל לך אדוני אלוהינו יראות בנה ותפארת עוזך. כי המלכות שלך היא, ולעולמי יד תמלוך וכבוד. ככתוב את תורתך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
Please remain standing as the ark is closed. The ark is closed. You may be seated. Even as we gather in simcha and joy, we pause with kavod, with honor, to remember those who are no longer with us. Here at PJTC this week, we're marking the Yahrzeit, that is the anniversary of the passing of Rose Adelston, Alvin Applebaum, Louis Harry Asher, Les Berman, Zena Black, Cheka Bortnick, David Brown, Hildegard Barati, Isidore Danchik, Hazel Donner, May Etkin, Annie Fox, Leo Fox, Barbara Greenbaum, Lee Halpert, Lynn Harris, Anna Miller-Honig, Gideon Hoffman, Stephen Jacobot, Jack Kruger, Milton Kunin, Gerald Laska, Sarah Levine, Frederick Lindstone, Norma Loeb, Marion Lauren, Arthur Asher Lowenthal, Rachel Mandel, Gertrude Meltzer, Abraham Myers, Sarah Jen Mintz, David Mitchell, Paula Benjamin Parker, Lillian Pessin, Sandy Rombach, Ava Kaplan Silberman, Samuel Shefflin, Max Siegel, Anna Helen Siegel, Saul Shapiro, Seymour David Schilling, Anna Schulman, Ida Singer, Tessie Spellman, and Pearl Wachowski. If you have another name that you'd like to lift up in honor at this time, please hold that name in your heart or say it out loud wherever you are. And I'll ask if you are in mourning for anyone or observing a Yahrzeit, I invite you to please rise. And we'll all pray with you on page 52, the Kaddish Tom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
Ba'alma divra kirute v'amlik malchute b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael ba'gala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach le'olam l'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei d'kudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. You may be seated if you wish. Before we conclude the festivities this evening, I would love to invite several people to give gifts to our friend Olivia, starting with Alexa Johnson, who I believe is joining us live via satellite, or by Zoom, as the case may be, who has a presentation to give on behalf of our USY youth group.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. As some of you know, I'm Alexa, the co-president of our Temples chapter of USY, the future co-president. Today, I'm here to present Olivia her very own Bechol Echad. If you don't know what a Bechol Echad is, it's a songbook used for regional USY events. It's used for both Ruach and Sloach. Ruach is loud songs filled with energy, but Sloach is calm, reflective type songs. You will use this songbook when you attend regional events. I look forward to seeing you there and to get to know you better. You are doing amazing tonight, and Mazel Tov on your big day.
Yashkoch, Alexa, well done. And now I'd like to invite up Michelle Browning, who has a presentation on behalf of PJTC Sisterhood.
Olivia, Mazel Tov on tonight. Mazel Tov to Mom and Dad. I'm sure tomorrow will be phenomenal. Your bat mitzvah, it's a time to reflect. You've done a lot. This is a time to celebrate all of the wisdom that you have gained. So I wish you strength and confidence and pride as you look forward to what's next on your Jewish journey. I trust that this Kiddush cup that I'm presenting on behalf of the Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center Sisterhood will be a reminder of not only your accomplishments, but your heritage. So enjoy tomorrow and be proud. Mazel tov.
And last but certainly not least, I'd like to invite up Jack Singer, who has a presentation on behalf of PJTC's Men's Club.
Okay. So, I'd like to congratulate you on reaching this great milestone in your life. And I know you spent a lot of time and effort to become Bar Mitzvah, which may have started back when you were in the Gan class here at PJTC, and my daughter Jenny was your teacher. And she and your mom became good friends, and she asked me to give you and your family her congratulations. So now, in addition to being a great daughter, sister, and friend, you are also an honor student at your middle school, and you've just recently been accepted to attend CS Arts in Duarte. And you're also pursuing your passion for dance. So your mom told me about your recent performance as the Caterpillar in your dance group's performance of Alice in Wonderland. Coincidentally, both of my granddaughters are also dancers. So I know from personal experience in watching them how much time and effort it takes to become an accomplished dancer. And I'm sure you devoted the same amount of time and effort to prepare for your bar mitzvah. So I'm also sure that you'll do a great job in reading your Torah portion tomorrow. And to help you with that, it's my great honor on behalf of the Men's Club to present you with this yad, which I also hope will always be a reminder of this special moment in your life. So I want to wish you and your family Mazel Tov and Yasher Koach to you.
Yasher Koach, Jack. So now, because I think there's a wonderful oneg happening, so we should probably end the service pretty soon. Let's end the service the way we began it, and that's in beautiful, joyful song. And I'll invite you to rise as singing feels better when you can move around a little bit. And we're going to end with Salam. And then I hope you'll stick around for Kiddush.
Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam shalom. Shalom aleinu, oh Shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. שלום עלינו, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם. שלום עלינו ועל כל העולם. שלום, שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל העולם. שלום, שלום. Shabbat shalom.
Good Shabbos, everybody. If you'll hang out for just a second, I'd like to invite Olivia's parents up here so we can all make Kiddush together. So we're going to make Kiddush in here, and then there's also some wine or juice and challah in the back there. We might have, I don't know if we have any announcements running right now. Make sure she gets the big cup. Also, I just want to congratulate the row 2 for the most excellent dancing during the service. Honorable mention to your cousins in the back who've been cracking me up this whole time. There we go. Mazel tov.
So, are we ready? We're ready. Cool. ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו, אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. We're going to give it to the family to continue.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratza banu, v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava u'v'ratzon himilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra'e chodesh, zeher letziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'hartav, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, b'ahava u'ratzon, hinhaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemo.
Mekadesh Shabbat.
Amen.
L'chaim.
Now we'll make a netilat yadayim for everybody's sake here. Those at home who wish to wash, wash as you wish. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim.
We go back to the family for challah. Okay, let's lift it up really high. There you go.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei
Motzi.
hamotzi lehem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Take
shalom.
a piece.
Good save.
Shabbat shalom.
All right, everybody, we'll see you in the back. Mazel tov to the Whitman-Silberman family for this wonderful evening.